today what I thought I would do is talk you through the other love of my life, reading. I'm a complete bookworm, and one of the many joys of lockdown has been being able to read a bit more. And so I thought this stack of books here is what I've been reading since lockdown. In all fairness, just a few of them were just right before lockdown started, but I wanted to include them because they were, I found, to be really, really interesting. So let's get started. Shall we go in chronological order? Okay, let's do that. Okay, so the first book I read was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which you may know as the Oscar-winning film with Jack Nicholson. But I'm a stickler for this. I always want to read a book before I watch the film adaptation, and I'm so glad I did with this. I picked up this book, one, because it's a classic, but also because I study psychiatry. I research in neuroscience and psychiatry, and I'm not a psychiatrist, and I'm always trying to understand more what patients go through. Just to summarise, if you don't know this story, is basically the narrative of a patient in a psychiatric institute back in the 1960s in America, and it is his experiences as well as his observations of other patients and staff which really make you think. When it ended, I was sad, but life goes on. And so the next book that I read was a really short one, really quick, easy read, and it's called The Convenience Store Woman. So I read this because I was actually travelling in Japan in March
when the lockdown happened. That's another story.
And I actually just read this in one sitting on the plane journey. It's a really quick read, and the thing I love most about this book, it is told from the perspective of the narrator again, who spends her whole life working in a convenience store. And as the story goes along, it becomes pretty clear that the narrator actually has autism. And I thought this was a really, really nice description of autism, the beautiful things about autism and how you can find your place in society. Another thing is also it's a woman with autism, which is a topic that isn't talked about enough. So if you are interested in a fun little read, very funny, very cute, yeah, kawaii, 2 thumbs up. That's 1 thumb. 2 thumbs up. The next book I read was Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. Incredibly topical, really makes for an excellent read. So this is written by Reni Eddo-Lodge. She's a British author, and she writes about her experience and also about certain kind of structural societal ideas. Really, really thought-provoking. I think it's very important for white people to read and to think about. So if you are interested to educate yourself a bit more about the topic on race, especially in this day and age, I would strongly encourage you to check this book out. It's a good Black British voice, well worth the read, and don't forget to talk to your friends about it as well. The next book I started, set myself up for a big one. So this one came as a recommendation to me from 2 friends, and I have started it, and I must confess I really haven't finished it, so the jury is still out, but it's so far so good. It's just intense. Ooh. So this is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, and essentially this is a story about 4 friends who meet each other in college and where life takes them. It's very dense, it has a lot of description, so the jury's still out. I haven't finished it, but I'll let you know how it goes. And the last book I've been reading is called Black and British by Olusoga, and it is a history book, and I tell you, I am hooked. I also haven't finished this one yet. Are you like me? Do you read 2 books, 2 massive books at the same time? I don't know what's wrong with me, but I pick up one book and I just want to start reading the other. I don't stop reading this one, I just read them both at the same time. Madness! Anyway, I picked this one up after I'd read Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. So I was really intrigued to learn more about Black British history. I think in the UK there's sometimes a narrative that racism isn't as bad as it is in America because we don't have a history of slavery, which just is completely false. And if you want to understand why, then this is an excellent book. And if you don't have time to read this much, then the good news is that it's actually, I think it was made into a 4-part BBC documentary, so you can also check that out. But I do love the book. And an added bonus, there are lots of pictures. How nice. So that concludes what I've been reading during lockdown. On reflection, it's quite a bit, but I hope that that's inspired you to pick up something interesting to read. I think for me it's been reflective. Perhaps I'll read fantasy next. Bye!